mine. Nice to meet you, Archie.
To
Thank you
meet
so
you,
much
man.
for taking the time out.
Of course, bro. Nice to meet you.
The first question that I have for you, and I'm just curious to know this myself, what was it like the first time that you actually got in the car and felt that real racing and the miles per hour? How was that for you?
Dread. That was the feeling. It was dread. It was regret. It is so hard. I mean, the way we shot all of the emotional beats, the story beats first. Like, that's all the stuff that as an actor you get nervous about. You're like, I hope I'll be able to hit that. I hope I'll be connected that day. Whatever it is. And we did all of that stuff was out the way. Okay, cool. Now we're into the fun stuff. Now I get to race for a few months. And I hadn't been in the cars going at full speed before because when Jann gets in the cars for the first time, we wanted those to be my first times. We wanted to capture my real reactions. And so I was taken out for a test lap and I immediately felt my stomach go. There is nothing that can prepare you for that kind of G-force. It is so fast. I remember looking at my instructor and I just said to him, dude, is it going to be like that the whole time? He said, yeah. And I just thought, I've made a grave mistake. And then for months and months and months, I just had to be behind the wheel of that car. There is no scene where I'm cheating it. I am behind the car every day. And I'm 6'5". These cars are small. It's claustrophobic, it's anxiety inducing. David keeps describing it as violent. It's very violent. It's an assault on the senses. But what it did is it just gave me so much respect for the drivers, and I was able to kind of channel those feelings and turn it into something kind of combative or some kind of confidence. I had to really work with all those feelings to overcome and kind of create that feeling of strength and determination. But yeah, it was hard.
Well, one of the things that I got from the movie that I didn't think I was going to get is I'm sure a lot of gamers worldwide are like their relationship with their parents or is interesting
Hmm.
because a lot of the older generation doesn't really understand, maybe that gaming community and how you can make it into a career. I felt the emotional tones with you and your father in the movie really, I think, will speak to a lot of gamers worldwide and seeing that relationship and a lot of parents as
Yeah.
well. Do you feel like that really came across well of how that relationship evolved from the beginning of the movie to that really emotional scene at the end where he comes to see you right before your race?
Yeah, well, I mean, Jann Hansu is just one of the best actors we have, and it's kind of it's just all available when you're working with an actor like that. There was no fight to find a chemistry or to find that feeling. He is just so warm and open and available. He's so brilliant. It was such a privilege working with him, and 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 so that relationship was there from the off. And also it's interesting, working with actors that are older than me that have had so much experience. There is always this lovely feeling of mentorship and people are always looking out for you, and that's quite a paternal relationship. And me and Jarman had that pretty much from the off. It was great.
And the final question that I have for you is the scene where he gets into the accident and he's at the hospital and he's trying to determine if he wants to continue on. Do you feel like that's kind of a metaphor for life? We get sometimes to fulfill our dreams, but then once we fulfill our dreams, things happen that maybe we weren't prepared for.
Of
And
course.
how do you feel like that kind of came across, letting people know, hey, you can get to this certain level, but then there's things that can happen that make you reassess the entire situation?
Yeah, there will always be, bumps in life. We always We're going to have to overcome adversity. We're always going to have to overcome challenges. And when those things confront us, we have to make a decision. We have to really find strength in those moments. And that's when we turn to support systems, we turn to advice. But it that's kind of, you see that represented in that story sometimes. And this is, we are only human. Sometimes, like Jack, you don't have the strength to continue with the passion, and you take a turn and you find something else. But I think the story is if you can find that strength to continue, like Jann, incredible things can happen.
Well, I really appreciate you taking out the time. You were incredible in the movie.
Thank
I
you, man.
loved it a lot. I can't wait for everyone to see it. And once again, Archie, thank you for taking out the time, and I'll be continue to watch your career as you continue to grow.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
Take care.
The first question I have for you is, this movie obviously is about your life, but can you tell us, how was it the first time that you actually got into the race car and raced for real outside of the game? How was that for you?
So that was at the GT Academy finals, and I'd asked myself the same question because as I was getting strapped in, I got my helmet on. I'm about to drive this GTR for the first time. I'm 19. I'm like, okay, how is this gonna feel? And did a few laps, and my inputs on the brake and the throttle, the car would kind of act the same way as I was expecting from the game. The steering, I had this weird sensation of vibrations and feeling from the car, which was new to me. So it was about tuning that new sensation with my eyes and the feeling that I'm getting through the steering wheel and making them all aligned. That took time because it's a new element. You need to understand how to mesh all three. But it was normal to me. It felt, I guess I was 19, so there's no sense of fear or self-preservation is like this tiniest amount in my brain. There was no thinking, and I just love to go fast. And that was it.
How did you feel the movie portrayed your relationship with your family, specifically your father? Because, I assume a lot of gamers have interesting relationships with their parents when they speak about, maybe wanting to make this to a career. Did you feel like it really hit those emotional beats? And can you tell us a little bit of how that relationship has grown?
Very. So when I first told my parents that I'd entered this competition and the winner would have a chance to be a professional racing driver, bearing in mind my status at that point in my life and within the family is at the ground floor because I just dropped out of university. So I had nothing else going on. 19 years old, still at home. And I've just said to my dad and my brother, yeah, I'm entering this competition. And they're like, yeah, right. Spoke to my mum, it was different. She was more on board. But it took time. It took time for that to become, for everybody to see the vision. I was just presented with a door, an opportunity, and I knew what I wanted from my life and to race cars and whatever I have to do for that to make that a reality, my reality. I would push through, and fortunately, I was in the right place at the right time and put in the work.
How do you feel like this movie could be a inspiration to not just gamers, but just to people that have a dream that may seem, a little bit far-fetched, but if they continue to do it? I noticed in the movie they talk about how your story and the stories of others is inspired not just a few, but millions, kind of worldwide. When people see this movie, especially young people, like you said, you're 19 at the time and out of the university and not exactly sure which way you were going, do you feel like this would give them a little bit inspiration to keep going and try to reach out for their dreams, no matter how high they seem to be?
I hope so. So during on my career, when I'm racing, I'm just doing me. I'm a sportsman. I'm focused on my thing, trying to make the best of my life. However, people have told me throughout my career, your story is inspiring. I don't think this way per se all the time. And when I think about it now, it's a real blessing to have that opportunity to tell the world of my past and the ups and downs that come with it. The background that I had was very relatable to millions of people, two parents, brother, not really finding his place in the world, but knew what gave them purpose and passion and went for it. And all my eggs were in that basket of trying to become a professional racing driver. So I do hope, and my wish for this movie, people take real positivity out of it, and it applies generally. It can be this person maybe is putting off that art, pursuing a career in art because of X, Y, Z. and then after watching this, maybe they push through that. It applies, I think, quite broadly to life in general, which is important to me, because it's not just specifically motorsports or gaming. It's a broad view, because you have one life.
Well, I really appreciate the movie's excellent. I researched your story, and like I said, you are an inspiration to a lot of people from, like you said, not just the racing, but from a global perspective, and any type of person that just wants to reach out and know that their dreams can come true. So thank you so much for taking out the time, and congratulations again.